face with them. So did you get beyond first base?
Yeah, we did everything over the phone, and we have a LIO, which is a letter of intent, sent yesterday afternoon.
So you're talking about a big land parcel, maybe?
Actually, a small land parcel.
Okay.
So it's actually owned by an agent.
Oh, okay.
And so we're gonna, if they accept it, we're gonna be going to contract within 7 days, and
All right,
and
good.
they're doing a carryback of it.
Wow, so you've got a long ways with the for sale by owner, or
Yeah, I mean,
so-
literally, I haven't met them personally yet. We've
Yeah.
done everything on the phone. The husband is Edward Jones, financial advisor, and
Yeah, good. All right, so you're really deep in a deal. Tell me how yours went, because yours is more normal. So remember, we called the guy,
Yeah, Logan.
Logan. Very good.
He said that he was having an open house Saturday.
Yeah.
I showed up there with signs, and I called him, he wasn't there, he rescheduled. I said he canceled the open house.
Oh, he did.
Yes, but yesterday, I saw two guys out front, one of them had an armless lockbox. And so I called him, I was like, hey man, what's going on? Like, and he's like, I've got these guys that are investors, they're gonna check it out. And I was like, okay, well, I gave him my insight a little bit, and I just kind of had a conversation with him. And he's like, I'm pulling up to them right now, let me call you right back. He didn't call me back, I called him back. And he's got a commercial space in Phoenix he's trying to get rid of, and he's got other houses as well. He took over his dad's business when he died. And he's,
Which do you know what the business is?
I think it's like property management, like owning properties.
Really?
Rentals. Yeah, and so I set up a lunch with him next week.
Okay, good. You got to stay on this guy,
Yeah.
right? So the way that you close a FSBO is just ask them when the next time they're doing an open house, right? And then you get in front of them. Too bad Chris isn't here. I've been dying to share you guys that story. I talked about it in Tuesday's sales meeting where we converted that for sell by owner and then Showcat put it in escrow. Those guys, how long does it take to convert it for sell by owner? How long?
6 weeks.
6 weeks. So you just got to stay with them during that time, and in the meantime, you're just being a fan, right? You're cheering them on, right? You're giving them gifts, you're giving them consulting, right? And you're like, hey man, if I could save, like the one that Chris and I converted, $24,000 in GCI. $24,000, right? It's a lot. All right. Open houses. All right, now you can go. Stop. Now you have a listing, right? Or you have a friend at whatever company you work for that has a listing that you're about ready to sit. So, right? So you want to start early. So the day to start thinking about an open house is really early in the week so that by Wednesday, Thursday, you have a whole program together. So let's talk about Wednesday. So one of the first things you want to do is take out a Zillow ad. You want to have the listing agent put it in the MLS that you're doing an open house on Wednesday. Why do you do that?
2 days.
Time is indicated.
Correct. So the IDX feeds will pick that up, and the consumer will actually see that hey, they're doing an open house Saturday or Sunday. Let me tell you how powerful this is. I've done these before, and the open house didn't open up on time at 1 o'clock. The consumer has called me saying, hey, you're supposed to be running an open house today at 1 o'clock, right? And then I'm looking at their caller ID. Guess what I got? I got a name and a number now, right? So I say who this is. It's Ben. Well, Ben, I'm going to call you right back, and the open house I'm sure is going to start momentarily. Let me check with the listing agent, right? And then so when you place that ad, the consumers are watching it, and it absolutely works on the IDX feed. So you want to start that no later than Wednesday. So with today being Thursday, right, you're already 1 day behind if you're planning on doing an open house this weekend and you didn't place that strategy. All right. A few days before, if you choose to do this, you can do this in a couple of different ways, would be to hit 10 neighbors on this side of the street of the open house and 10 neighbors on the opposite side of the street of the open house. The benefit of doing that is you want, and I'm probably not going to be following this guideline, but I'll revert back to it. The advantage of doing that is you want to get 4 answers from them. The most powerful is when you hit them, and I'm willing to role play with you guys in here, the most powerful is to ask them, do they know anybody that wants to be their neighbor? They'll look at you like, because nobody does this, right? It's called choose your neighbor. And you might have to jog their memory. Yeah, Nicole.
You're bringing something with you though too, right? When you're-
Oh, always.
Okay, you're bringing out the
Could be
house
just a
flyer?
business card. Could be a business card, yeah, whatever, or flyer.
Okay,
Don't overthink it.
right.
We're not rocket science, right? We're not space engineers, right? Don't overthink it, because what that does is it also freezes you. This is a go business, right? I mean, you don't even need, I mean, all you need is a pen and a sheet of paper to door knock. You don't need anything more than that, right? All right, so don't overthink it. But if you want to do a brochure or a business card, all that is good. Choose your neighbor. Jog their memory, right? Sister, brother, uncle, cousin, workmate. Are you recruiting anybody at the office, right? So choose your neighbor. Number 2, I'm going to call for this conversation's sake, the seller's name of the open house that you're sitting is the Smiths, right? Because I just priced the Smiths home, would you like an evaluation on your home? It only takes me a couple of minutes. It's a yes or no question, right? If they say yes, you want to go immediately into what? What's your email address, right? So you got to be ready for that. Just practice that. What's your email address? Because you don't have that, right? Now, you might have their name because you can go on tax records, and like the Smiths, you can see next door it's the Joneses. So when you do door knock them and you ask them, you choose their neighbor, and then you get into, would you like an evaluation on your home? You can call them by their first name, Mr. and Mrs. Jones or John Jones, whatever his name is, right? Very powerful. Number 3, any other rumblings in the neighborhood like the Smiths that are thinking about moving? And guys, has anybody door knocked with me where I got through all 4? Nobody? Have you?
Early on we did.
What was the question?
Number 3, the third question is, anybody like the Smiths that are selling their home? So this is called rumblings in the neighborhood. So now I'm on number 3, right? So first one, choose your neighbor. Second one, valuation. 3, choose your neighbor. I'm sorry, 3, anybody like the Jones rumbling. Number 4, once you get through that, any rumblings, that's called the lean in. So any rumblings in the neighborhood, and they'll lean in and say, yeah, like the guy died next door, right? Or whatever, right? An estate, probate, right? Or there's I hear him fighting all the time, but like, you know, and then he leaves at 2 in the morning, right? Okay, so that's called the lean in. So that's number 3. Number 4, any other real estate interest that you own that you might need some help on. That last 4th question has made me hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, I own land in Goodyear. Yeah, I own a condo in San Diego that I haven't been to in 4 years. Yeah, my wife's sister's brother. I have a guy from New York that owned 4 apartments at 32nd Street and Greenway that never moved into them. He owned them for 20 years. Now, it took me another year just to get those on the market from him, but he owned it for 20 years. His family out of New York bought 4 of them and never moved in. By me asking that question, I got all 4 of them. This is a funny story. He calls me up and says, "Hey, I'm turned on the utilities and the water." And I said, "Wait. Are these those houses that have never been moved into? I'm sorry, condos that have never been moved into, and you've owned them for 20 years?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "No, stop. I don't know what would happen. I mean, like they've never had the water or utilities turned on for 20 years, and he's getting ready to turn them on." So anyway, I said, "Well," he goes, "I already called him yesterday. They're supposed to be out there anytime today." And I said, "Get your tail over there, right?" All right. So those are the 4 questions, and that last one, guys, will make you money. All right. Who wants to give me all 4 of them again so I can summarize that conversation? Yes.
Choose your neighbor. I just priced their home. Would you like a CMA?
Yep.
Any rumblings in the neighborhood? And do you own any other real estate holdings that I can help you with?
Very good. Very good. And as you're door knocking, obviously look for the people that are, and you don't have to door knock. So let me go to the phone conversation after this. Look for the neighbors that are washing their cars, right, or that are already out there. Hit them first, and you can jump around a little bit. It's gorgeous out there this week to do stuff like this. It's a good time to do it, right? And yes, Nicole, you can do it with the flyer. You
I
can
just
do it with
feel
the
weird
business
without
card.
anything in hand, because sometimes I don't like doing the business card, because I like to do the cell phone thing, too, so.
Right. All right. So we also have a program, as you guys know, called LexisNexis and other ways to get people's information, where if you don't want to door knock, you can call them and go through the same script. It's always those 4, and you can get through all 4. All right, any questions there?
Yeah.
All right,
What do you do behind a gated community that says no solicitation?
up to you. I don't feel weird about a lot of stuff. That one I feel weird about. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one I feel
Says
weird
no
about. Yeah,
solicitation.
I feel weird about that one. I don't. Any other input?
Is that illegal if you go to those, or
Do I what?
is that illegal if you go to those? Or is it closed down neighborhood?
In Paradise Valley.
They might call local. If the homeowner. I do Greyhawk often on Raptor and Retreat. I go in and out of that gate often. And I do drop off expired and canceled packets. This is open houses, so I think for an open house.
Register
that-
with the guard.
Do you
Still make
register?
Do they still make you register with the guard there?
Greyhawk does, you have to be registered, yep. In fact, I won't get off subject. So yes, personal preference, it's just like the same thing as do not call list. Do you choose to call them or do you not? Is that a solicitation call or are you
Inviting them to
acquiring?
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you acquiring statistical data?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's also not a sale. You're inviting them to something. You're inviting them to an event
To a
happening
party.
in their neighborhood.
Right.
Call it a party. Call it whatever. You're not trying to sell them anything. So that technically gets you past that no solicitation barrier.
right. All right, I'm gonna try to use this thing. I'm not a very big script guy. All right, so how do you advertise? So you put it in the MLS, you do Zillow, Realtor.com, etc. You can do Top Agent. Can you advertise on Top Agent Network for an open house? Anyway, you can get do you guys have some marketing services that you can do? Okay. All right.
When you put you're doing an open house on MLS, doesn't it already shoot out to the syndicates like Zillow and?
It does,
Realtor?
yeah, but that's why you want to do it by Wednesday.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. All right. So a few days before, we just talked about that. Oh, I didn't do anything. Keith?
Did you guys turn
Oh.
on the electric?
All right, did that one, choose your neighbor. Yep, did that one. Did that one. Did that one. All right, so obviously you want to stage the home. Yeah. If the utilities aren't on, just open up the blinds, kind of make it a little festive. Do you want to bring drinks and stuff? Yes, you can. A snack table, that kind of stuff. Yes, right? So, based on the municipality, the more signs, the better. Guys, if you're gonna do it, and the municipality doesn't have any restrictions, put up 10 open house signs from different ingress egresses, right? So like, if I was doing one here, I would look at Pima and Thompson Peak, or I'm sorry, Pima and Thompson Peak. I would look at Scottsdale Road and Thompson Peak, both pointing east, the other one pointing west, right? And bring them all in a main vein. So use them, don't get lazy on that point. If you are, pay somebody to put them out for you. Right? I hate putting open house signs up, but if you hate it too, pay somebody to do it for you. It's worth it.
Hey, Joe, I have a question. Isn't there an ordinance now in Scottsdale, you can only put 6 signs out?
Yeah.
And you can't put any more than that?
I'll give you a helpful hint that you didn't hear from me.
Yeah.
City of Scottsdale code enforcement does not work on the weekends.
Well, they must not, because I've seen the balloons, I've seen everything, but that email you guys sent out to
I
us.
sent you an email, but
Yeah.
City of Scottsdale, they're just a little bit more enforceable than Phoenix is.
Right, but nobody enforces that, is what you're saying.
They're cracking down
Weekdays,
more.
I have
That's
seen
what
this,
you're
yes.
That's what that email
Yeah.
came down. Yeah.
I was just curious.
All right.
There's a
Yeah.
reason.
Does anyone put a sign on the divider between the streets and house? I have, and I had one taken.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to put them in the medians.
Right,
Yeah.
or on the
Yeah.
sidewalks, or in the
Right,
community
anything that
areas.
obstructs a walkway.
Can I just make a suggestion
Sure.
with signs?
Sometimes you only put them in the
So,
sidewalk.
you know, you can't put it on a public street, right? That's what they say. So if you're gonna put it on the corner and you're gonna use somebody's front yard, knock on their door, introduce yourself, door knocking, tell them what you're doing, and get their permission to put the open house directional on their lawn, you know, on their corner. 'Cause it's their property. It's another way to door knock and put out your sign. They're not gonna say no.
I agree. I mean, I don't think that they would say, no, keep it off my corner.
And if they do, I have to tell you the most clever thing I ever saw one time. When Greyhawk first was built, you know, there was you weren't allowed to put up for sale signs in Greyhawk. Do you remember those days?
Oh, yeah?
When Greyhawk was first built, you couldn't do anything. Somebody in the office put up, what they did was they took the wife's car, the kid's car, their car, and they put an open house directional sign in their car window and put it on the street corner.
Oh,
So you can see it from the car,
I love it.
that it wasn't on the street, and they couldn't do anything about it.
yeah, and if you guys really want to push your brand, now that we're on to the open house signs, if you really want to push your brand them to you, right? I get calls all the time of Remax agents wanting to use my open house signs. I'm like, yeah. And it's funny because the consumer sometimes will circle back to me and say, hey man, I saw your open house signs. I went to it and you weren't there. And you know, so you want to invest. It's a very minimal investment to brand yourself. You want to brand it to you. Like you'll notice that the Rounds team now has all of our branding now is our TT group. So we've gone to that, but you want to brand your image and yourself. We have 4 Remax big balloons. They're about this high. You can put in the driveway. Those are fun to use to where people can find you. Flyer packages. All right, so when the consumer comes in, you want to have, let's say I'm visiting the Smith's house is 500,000. So you want homes from 400 to 600,000 with you, full MLS printouts, because if you run into I'm going to come back to this, but if you run into the right buyer and you're sitting a vacant open house, shut the open house down, get them in your car and show property, but we're going to come back to that. But that's why you want to bring these full MLS printouts or be online at the time, have a hot spot or whatever you got for the open house.
Right.
Make sure the home and the internet, oh, that's what I just talked about. So look at that. So make sure you have internet, or if you don't, make sure you have everything on a desktop already ready to go. Any questions there? All right, sign-in sheets. Yes, you want to bring a sign-in sheet, and what Sandy and I do is the first 3 names we fill out for them in different penmanship, right? So, like I'll put in John Evans, full address, cell number, and email address, all 4 categories filled out. Because when you hand your buyer the PIN, you know, for instance, if you looked at that and I asked you to sign in, you're going to do it. If you looked at this and I asked you to sign in, you're less likely, right? It's kind of like follow the leader. Us as humans want to be led, right? People, you know, you want to be taken by the hand and led, right? So that's part of that chemistry there. Name, phone number, and email address. Now, we do have agents as simple as this. They don't ask for anything, but on the way out, they would say, hey, Dan, I don't have your contact information. How can I get a hold of you? What's your cell number? Yeah, there you go, right? So it could be as simple as this. Terry, come up here and tell them about the open house that you just experienced the other day, because I thought this was really powerful and I've never heard this before. So 25 years, never heard of this.
I usually feel like if I'm going to ask them for their personal information, I need to build some type of rapport first. Well, I went to meet a client at an open house the other day and I got there before her. So I experienced watching this young girl, she was probably in her 30s. She had her iPad out, and the minute they walked in, she said, welcome to my open house. What's your name? What's your phone number? Your email address? And they just gave it to her. And I was like, wow. So people left, and I said, well, you're really bold at that. Like, I admire that. You just, do they ever She said, well, look, you know, if you go to see an apartment, you have to give your driver's license. This is somebody's personal home, they're walking around, it's a security issue. And I said, well, do you ever have people that say no? She said, yes, and I asked them to leave. So if they come in, she automatically asks them for all their information right off the bat, and if they say no, she said, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
Yeah.
I actually have something to add on to that. I got a laminated piece of paper that said, as per the owners, you know, for security reasons, ask for your information, you know, and I put that right up on the front door and they see it when they walk up.
Wow.
And then I have the sign-in sheet right there and it's like, could you please sign in?
Yeah, how about that sign up, that thing, this is what I just envisioned, so you have that at the front door, right? We're gonna ask you to sign in, please have your driver's license ready. Right?
Yeah.
Because, you know, people who won't identify themselves nowadays, right? And you're letting them into maybe an expensive open house, maybe not, but less probably crime, right? Especially if it's occupied with expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Patrick?
One more reason for them to have to sign in, and I do this all the time in new home communities, is you have to be able to verify federal fair housing rules and regulations that you treat everybody the same. So I need a record of all people who come into a community. So that's, you can put that right on the top if you want, you know, federal fair housing logo, and just say, yeah, I actually need this for a couple reasons. Yeah, am I gonna call you? Yes, because you're setting an expectation that you're gonna call them because you're interested in them as a potential prospect or buyer.
And I call everybody equally.
Yes, and I'm a professional at what I do. And then finally is, I actually have to be able to confirm for federal fair housing rules that I treat everybody exactly the same.
So guys, just keep in mind, and this, remember, this is one segment of lead generation that we teach, right? If at the end of a couple of open house, let's say you've done 10 open houses and you're ending up with 2 leads, it's just not your bag. That's okay, but you're on stage at that time. Your energy needs to, like, you know, jump out a little bit, right? You need to get that person motivated and attracted to you. So, you know, you need to really sell that asset and then tell them gifts and strategies that you can provide to get them ahead of schedule. So I heard
The
that.
other thing this was great too, she's asked for their name, their phone number, their email address, and the next thing out of her mouth was, would you like a list of similar homes in the area? So then she was giving them, you know, I'm asking you all this, but I can give you this information too, so.
So
I
it's a
challenge
videotape.
that a little bit because you've been hired by the seller to sell their house,
Right.
and now you're trying to sell somebody else's.
Oh, yeah.
That's a conflict.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I worked with another person many years ago, Del knows who he is, and they sent in a spy to an open house on a subdivision. And this fellow that I was working with, we couldn't sell the house, this new construction, and he brought out his houses for sale in the area. Would you like to see them from me? And he got fired. Because the seller sent in a spy.
Yeah, I think that if you set the expectation properly, what's that? I'm sorry.
I knew it was a neighbor. I've had a seller shop me at my
Yeah,
open house.
they do.
Yeah.
And I knew they were, because the neighbors came in and they were asking weird questions and they wanted, I mean, just questions that normal people
Yeah,
would.
wouldn't
Then
ask.
you kind of knew, and it was a weird seller anyway, so it was just.
Well, so
Right up,
take it to the level of, are they in, are they
Oh, yeah.
out on the house?
They'll do it.
Is it missing
Yeah,
a
they'll do it.
bedroom, is it missing a powder
All
room, is
kinds
it
of-
missing a
yeah.
garage, maybe they don't want a pool, and then go into that sector. But remember, you are sitting in the open house to expand your business and to sell the house that you're at, right? But, you know, I think it is a fine line, and I think that's a reasonable.
Well, then if you have a list
Objection.
of other competitive houses, you may want to prove to them that your house is better priced in this neighborhood compared to these comps. And
Right.
you'll see the available houses and you keep passing it on.
Right, Lori?
A lot of people come in just because they saw the sign.
Yeah.
They have no idea how much the house is. They may look at the sheet once they get in and go, oh my God, it's way out of my price range. Then you could say, well,
Right,
I
and
could
move
show
right
you
on.
some things.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
because they don't always.
Okay, moving on. Any questions here?
No, but I do have something though.
Yeah.
I think we should mandate that. I really think that she mandated, if you don't sign in, you can leave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want your
Well,
information, I mean, walk out, or
Yeah.
I would even put it on the door,
Right.
like, this is a check-in open house, you're not gonna check in then don't come in, like,
Right.
because it's a security thing and it's occupied.
It's
Both of them are
interesting,
occupied.
because
I don't know why we don't require.
I'm pretty
people to
out
check
there
in.
and pretty bold. I don't, I want to be like fair with all you guys. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I
I'd
could.
do it.
Yeah,
I've done it where it made them give me my license.
but this is why it's cool that we're all independent contractors and we all have Shannon Enterprises and Delbert's Enterprises, right? I like the strategy, otherwise I wouldn't have had Terry come up and do it. But it's the same thing with the buyer-broker employment agreement. I don't use them, but I know a lot of people in this room are successful in using them. So strategies, ideas, yeah. Did you have another question? Somebody
No,
raise their hand.
I wouldn't have messed with this girl though.
Just real quick, there's actually iPad apps for doing
Yeah,
the
open
open
house.
houses,
Yeah.
and that can automatically do emails
Yep.
right after.
Yeah.
And the consumers take to them too.
Yeah.
Because they're so used to typing in their stuff on the digital.
Oh, yeah.
The digital, like when you buy something with your credit card on the Square tablet,
Yeah,
they're so used to keying the stuff in, they just take right to it.
It's
Yep.
easier
All
to
right,
just
good.
go right to the.
A lot of different
Just
ways
sit
people
right
can
there in
sign
front of
in.
them.
But I can tell you this, if you're not tracking your numbers after an open house and you're not getting name, numbers, and email addresses, but I hear agents say, yeah, but I gave out 7 business cards.
Ah.
It's just not your bag, right? And that's okay. It's not your bag, because one of the things that Julie LaRaz is going to talk about, because I am bold in a lot of areas, not like this area, but as you guys know, I'm kind of like the phone and the door knocking guru, but we're going to talk about other strategies. All right. During the open house, greet each person or group at the front door, get contact information, and then I want to add one more thing here. Can you add this to the presentation, please, on this part? I want to make sure it gets there, because I just thought about this. So one of the most powerful things that I've heard about open houses is if there's not another person right behind the person that is now exiting the home, walk them to their car. This will make you a
Yeah, they like
shitload of money, because now they're out of your domain, right? Like you've heard the things like when you're interviewing somebody, you want to sit above them, right? Because you're looking down at them. Have you guys ever heard that? Like guys that are really into power, they increase their chair. So I'm not sure about that, right? All right. So what happens at an open house is when you walk them to the car, it becomes extremely powerful. Because now they're out, now they're free, they're in fresh air, you're not crowding them, you don't have them up against the wall. And it could be something as simple as you hand in your card again and say, oh, I didn't get your card. And now they're at their car, they might just reach in their glove compartment, pull out their card. Or they'll share with you, so this hasn't happened to me, but these are stories that I've accumulated over the years. A man or female will break down, just start bawling and say, yeah, I'm going through a divorce. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm getting relocated. My wife's not going, whatever the scenario is. But they're relieved when you walk them to the car. So I'm going to add a third item here. Walk them to their car. It's powerful. Right? All right. During the open house, set up sign-in sheets, fill out the first one, name, number. We did that. During the open house, Terry, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. During the slow times at the open house, you want to be multitasking. So one of the things that I think that is really good, and I talk to this a lot, is we have all kinds of, we're at capacity, but we have office space that we sell, right? When I have vacant houses right now today that can be sat, that you can office in. So I have agents that pay us anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month to be in their office. But I have office space right now at vacant open houses that you can sit for free every day and make that your office. A, my sellers love it. B, you're multitasking in the sense that you're waiting for somebody to potentially walk in, you're door knocking neighbors, and if you got a hot spot, you can do sphere of influence follow-up. I've had buyers come to my open houses to sign contracts. I've had sellers come to my open houses to sign price reductions, right? You can do your enterprise right there at a vacant open house 7 days a week. Chris, you're really good at that. I mean, you're,
If you're making
oh,
calls.
Arnon, $10.
I don't have any.
What's a good
Next
thing?
month, yeah.
I can put it on your bill. When will you have the $10?
Yeah, before Christmas.
Before Christmas? Can you do it by Easter?
I can do.
Easter's right past.
Yeah.
Chris, so you're big. You do weekday open houses.
Yeah, I'm going on every afternoon this week. So, the nice thing about it, if you do have an office I have an office with Darren at Remax, but, I don't like making calls in front of Darren so much. So, it's just harder to
Gives you
make
some
calls in front
privacy.
of someone else,
Yeah.
so I'll go over there and just sit and make calls too.
It is hard to make calls in front of somebody else, right? Because you know.
Especially a senior agent, yeah.
Yeah, because you're on stage at that time, and so vacant open houses, if anybody needs a Monday through 7 days a week, vacant open house, we got a ton of them. Sit them, why not, right? The other thing that I find is that somebody that walks into an open house Monday through Friday, there's not as many of them as Saturday, Sunday, but they're extremely motivated and well qualified.
They're serious.
They're serious, yeah. So you don't get as many, but they're good. Yeah, so this is additional multitasking ideas. You can do postcards, you can hand dress thank you notes. Keep open houses going until the property sells, or you shut it down, right? One way or another, right? So how often you do open houses? Often, right? They're a great source. After the open house, so this is important. Secure the property, turn off all the lights, close the shutters and curtains, and do not, if it is not your account, do not give the seller any feedback. Yep. 2 times?
No, it's on this. No, go back one.
Okay.
It's on the second one down. Do not give feedback.
So this is really important because I've gotten feedback from senior agents that who wants to be picked on? Because I'm not, okay.
Pick on me. I'll be
Okay, so I've gotten feedback from senior agents that says, hey, Greg gave my seller feedback and I don't appreciate it. So it kind of goes like this, right? Yeah, you should really paint the living room. Yeah, there's some dog hair. Yeah, the windows need to be cleaned, right? That kind of feedback, they don't want to hear it from the agent that's sitting in the open house. They want to hear it from the listing agent. So if you want to end your career fast, do that. So I'm saying don't do it, right? So it's not a good idea. Because the other thing is you never want the seller to become attracted to your services versus, I'll pick on me now, my services. It's not going to win you a lot of friends for the next open house.
We've actually had that happen in the past. The agent's no longer with us. They've moved on to a lesser brand.
Yeah.
And once he did this, no one ever gave him another open house from that point on because the word spread like wildfire.
Well, yeah, so anyway. Call the listing agent and give them the feedback. We had 7 people through. I think 3 are interested. I got 6 names and numbers, right? And then let the listing agent know that you're out of the house. And then there's one other item, Greg. Is it on the next one? So send handwritten thank you notes to everybody that came through the open house, or email addresses. You can write during the slow time, the open houses, you can write the thank you notes. Yeah, as they come in, you can keep them going. And then send the thank you notes out the next day. There was one other item.
Other ideas.
Okay. So what I want to make sure is that I cover, yeah, I don't see it on there.
Here, check the next. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the one. So what you want to do is make sure that if you're sitting my open house, because we're all independent contractors in here, because some listing agreements say a variable commission. So it could say if a RE/MAX agent sells the house, or a RE/MAX Fine Properties agent sells the house, commission will be X. So let's say it's my listing and I do a 654 generically. And Shannon, you're sitting in the open house and you find the buyer. You want to know for sure what you're getting paid, right?
Right.
So if I asked you, or you asked me to sit my listing, you want to ask, if I find the buyer through the open house that buys that house, what am I getting paid? Because what are you assuming you're gonna get paid?
Well, yeah, I would assume I'm getting what's on the MLS.
Okay, and so let's assume on the MLS it's 3%.
Yeah.
What are you assuming you're getting paid?
3%.
Okay, Shannon, damn. I wish we would have talked about this beforehand. I have a deal with the seller that if Remax Fine Properties finds the buyer, I'm only in the deal for 4 and I'm not giving you 3.
So how much would you give her?
Buyer. I would only in the house.
Well, I'm not sure yet.
Could you refer him to a different agent?
There's a lot of things you can do, but here's what I'm doing.
Is our contract like that?
You can't.
Listing, our listing
And
contract
listen,
says that
it's
it's
whatever
with the-
you decide it is. Too bad
No,
Sandy's
but
not
that's
here.
pretty, I mean, I would never.
I'm not.
Can you see
the-
The only reason why
It's 3% MLS, it's 3%.
It's 3% on the MLS, I don't care.
Okay,
That's-
so
Unless it says variable
But
yes
you
or
get
no.
one.
well, okay, so there's gonna be a lot of debates around this subject. Here's what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If it's not your listing that you're sitting, and you're sitting mine, ask that question, because you'll be shocked. And let me tell you something that just recently, well, I'm gonna shut off the video and I'm gonna come back. Hang on, not yet, Greg.
Yep.
I'm gonna come back to that, but write that down. Find it a buyer at an open house, Shannon. And as soon as I stop the video, I'm gonna do a sidebar. I'm gonna share a story with you guys. All the open houses, so this is called an open house extravaganza. This is when you are running out of ideas as a listing agent and you need something that's powerful. Call all the homes in the 4-block radius, create an alliance with the other brokerages and do a communal open house, advertise it, maybe run a fun little card game like I have red cards. Scott at Open House 2 has blue business, whatever, playing cards. You have white, you have green, you have yellow, and if they bring all 5 cards to the last house, they get a $5 Starbucks gift card, right, or something. Or you can do a progressive.
Use Uno cards because each one of the Uno cards has a different color code.
Okay, whatever you guys want to use. But then you can take out a bigger ad. Sellers love it. You can have a map at each house. You can have a progressive lunch. You know, like here you're getting
Appetizer.
hot dogs, and then there you're getting chips, and the last house you get desserts, right? All right. I hope that is about. That discussed that. All right.
Don't
That's
forget the balloon.
I want
was it? Okay.
All right. So that's your open house video. Thanks for listening. Great.
I decided to put this together.
All right. Yeah, thank you.
So, from my perspective, when I work with agents, we talk about open houses. It's obviously a great lead generation tool. I kind of break it into before, during, and after. And if you're not going to do the after, don't bother doing the before and during, because after is where the money is made. So just really quickly identify the property. I'm assuming if you don't have a listing of your own, find an area you want to work, price point. As new to the market as possible is going to be the sweet spot. And this sounds silly, but minimal turns from a major street. As you were saying, if you have a couple of major veins to drive traffic from, it's better. Determine your dates and times.
Start the video again.
Oh, geez.
It is.
Oh, it is. When did you start?
As soon as she started speaking.
Okay, so Julie LaRazzo. Okay, sorry, Julie.
Okay, determine your dates and times, and be sure to track what's working. If you're an open house guru, you'll start to see patterns of weekdays, weekends, 12 to 5, 2 to 6, whatever that might be. Put it in the MLS. If you want to do social media ads, door knock and invite the neighbors. Number 4, sweep the driveway. It's kind of like walk them to their car. I had one client who would spend 45 minutes sweeping the driveway, got more neighbors listings from that than from any open house they held.
Because the neighbors saw him out there working.
And he's like, oh, I've never seen an agent work this hard. You're here every weekend, you sweep the driveway. So that's a little sweep the driveway trick. Post on your own social media. Circle prospects, so you have LexisNexis. I also can get you email addresses and phone numbers for about 50 properties surrounding an open house or a listing. Give me a couple days to get it to you though, so don't ask me on Friday at 4:30 for Saturday. But Wednesday or Thursday, shoot me an email, I can help you with that. If you have your own listing, we want to add a direct mail component in there. Coming soon, door knock. Just listed, door knock. under contract, door knock. Prepare flyers and other marketing materials. I'm happy to help with that. There's also a great program called Breakthrough Broker that I trained somebody in your office last week. They're like, this is so easy. I can do that in 5 minutes. So if you don't have access, see me, I'll get that for you. I also have an open house box. Now, can you go in my office right there, and there's a plastic container on the back box. I'm happy to help you with these. It's just a supply box. Pens, wipes, water bottles, notepads, guest registries, seller guide, buyer guide. Always have it ready. That way, whenever you're ready to go do an open house at the last, there's also a stress ball in here. And this is something that's fun for summertime. There's to help you pick up the hot metal open house signs.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
So it's just kind of a fun thing, ways to take title, hand sanitizer, some pop-ups saying take your shoes off, register, whatever. So I'm happy to help you with that, but it's something that you should just always have at the ready. What else do we have on here? Ensure proper signage. So like Dell said, know the city codes, know your subdivision codes if there's certain things you can and can't do. We talked about set the stage, music, water, snacks, make sure the house is clean and bright. Rather than sign in, I like to call it registering. So we talked a lot about different ways to get them to register. One of the ways is, welcome to my open house. Thanks for stopping by. I've got some marketing material in the house I'd like to share with you. But first, I need you to register. And whether it's an iPad or a sign-in sheet, whatever it is, so offer them something. But first, you need to register. I like the word register. It's a little more professional. Marketing materials set up, great. Get contact. If you're gonna, take them on a tour of the home, depending on the size of the home, you may need 2 people. Build a connection with the prospects. If you can find anything in common, if they have a Broncos t-shirt on, and Dell's gonna say, oh my God, what do you think of our new quarterback? Do you think this season's gonna be better than last season? So whatever you can find in common. If a person says they are working with an agent, that is a perfect time to compliment them. Oh my gosh, congratulations, that's a great decision. With today's market and the contract, it's really important to work with a professional. Which agent are you working with? I'd love to reach out to them and let them know that you stopped by. And then do that and follow up. Because a lot of them, when you ask them who it is, they get a little wishy-washy and maybe they're not really working with an agent. And then after. So, there aren't many agents who will do this, and if you will see results. Before leaving the property, take a 10-second video of yourself in front of the most prominent feature of the house. If it's the pool, if it's the kitchen, not the master shower, in front of the house. Hey Patrick, thanks so much for stopping by. It's Julie LaRaza with Stewart Title. Hope you're having a great afternoon. I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Boom, send it, whether it's email or phone number. They now have seen your face again, they've heard your voice again, and they see the house. If they've gone to 6 or 7 open houses, they may not remember if you send them an email or a text message. So it just gives that little personal touch. Before the end of the day, send them an MLS search. So like Dell said, 100 below, 100 up. If they mentioned, don't want a 2-story, I want a pool, whatever it is, include that and be sure to say, I can fine tune the criteria for you. The following morning, so those 2 things are done on the day of your open house. The following morning, you're gonna call every single person. If you don't have their phone number, you're gonna send another email. And then repeat each day with those 3 modes of communication: a video, a text, a call, an email, until they tell you to go away. And if you have or can find a mailing address for them, send them a handwritten note. You all know how to use MomZoom. We can find anybody. So that's it. Any questions?
So, yeah, go ahead. Any questions?
One thing that has helped me is having an off-market property, because if you don't want to be as abrasive and say get out if they don't give you your information.
Right.
That's been very successful for me. If I have an off-market in the same area, to go, okay, what's your phone? I'll text that to you, and then you say let's go look at it next week. If it's legit, usually it's legit. Please make it legit, and you can. And and that works really well to get the information if you can't get it any other way. And then that gives you something above and beyond other open house people, like, okay, this is this one house,
Right.
they know it's on MLS, but that's off market, no other agent has that information but you. So I found it very
Well, that's
successful.
one advantage if you're hyper local, and the buyer comes in and sometimes they'll ask you, why should I work with you? And you should say this to them, in my opinion, because you guys do have access to this information, and I'll go deeper if you have a question, would be, I can show you properties that aren't available to the public. Because I can't. I have expireds, canceled, FSBOs, and people, because I farm a lot of these areas, and people that I know are coming on the market. One other item, keep in mind if somebody says that they have an agent, sometimes that you need to treat that as an objection handler. So who wants to share with them the backup quarterback idea that has made money in the past? Great.
Great.
Julie, I am so glad that you have another agent, but I want you to consider me as your backup. So if Dell is out of town that weekend and you need to see something, please give me a call. I will be glad to help you out. I just want to be your backup quarterback.
Yeah. So apply for the backup position. That has made individuals a lot of money because
Ray
let's
Valley
say,
used to be-
Nicole, somebody calls you on a Saturday and it's one of your buyers, and this would never happen to you. So let's say somebody calls me on a Saturday and I don't pick up my phone. Who are they going to call? Hopefully they're going to call Greg, their backup quarterback, right? Their backup agent. So you want to say, I want to apply for the backup position. What's a backup position? Well, every football team has a second string quarterback and a third string quarterback. And I'm not the second string, I'm a starting quarterback. However, you have a starting quarterback, let me be your backup quarterback. And apply for that.
I like that.
Love it. Yeah, so it's an idea, right? Because sometimes they're just telling you that. It's a smoke screen. I'm already working with somebody, right? It's the same thing as you walk, and I say this a million times, I walk into a suit store, and I know I'm leaving with a suit. But the guy that comes up to me and asks me, hey, can I help you? What do I always say? No, I'm just looking. But, because how many times is a consumer going to say no before they say yes?
7.
Yeah, at least 7. And there's only so many of us left standing after that 7th objection, right? But somebody that knows retail would say, well, what part of the store can I direct you in? Shoes. Okay, great. Let me show you where the shoes are. Are you looking for black? Are you looking for, are you looking for lace up? Are you looking for loafers, right? And then they start probing.
And
All right.
then after that, I got a great belt that'll match those shoes.
Yes, you do. All right, so that's our segment on open houses. Dan, there's a visitor here named Dan. Who's Dan? Dan. Stay after. And then anybody else, so what?
Riley?
Right, oh, right, is that, okay, Riley, yeah.
Yep.
Whoever wants to stay afterwards. But Dan had a special request, so Dan's holding an open house this weekend, and I pulled 10 names and numbers right around his open house. I'm gonna make 2 of those calls, right? As a coaching session. So we're gonna take because I gotta make one call at 11:30. We're gonna take a 7-minute break. And then anybody that wants to stay, because this is what I call the neighborhood walk. So this is part of that implementation of inviting somebody as a somewhat, I won't call it a cold call, a warm call. So I need the MLS name, square footage,